Well, nobody else is suffering that you didn't make them
Yeah.
because nobody knows you're going to do it.
Yeah.
So you're the only one suffering. So, be like everybody else.
Yeah.
Like you decided not to,
Right.
which is when you were sober and thoughtful, and you're like, well, I don't need to do it. So I think rather than saying, here's the thing I wouldn't want to do, which sounds like a nice thing and maybe fun and um, generous, and then probably for a variety of reasons, you just said, not this year, maybe next year I'll revisit it. And then the follow on feeling that you had was feeling bad that you didn't, instead of saying, I feel glad about the decision I made. Like, I know why I made that decision, right? And there's probably pros and cons in it, but you weighed them into, I can't afford it this year, or I don't have the time, or whatever it happens to be. So, kind of maybe examining that moment where you, on some level, decide, let me feel bad or let me feel glad for the decision I made, because it's not like choosing a burial plot or something. It's like, this is what you're doing this year because of all these reasons, and when you make that decision, you can also remember, like, I know the positive, let's say, feelings, thoughts, words, thank you notes that would have happened if I had done it. Like, those are probably the reasons to want to do it. But when you make the sober decision not to do it, you don't have to choose to feel bad that the good things didn't happen, right? So you could just instead focus on, I still like the idea of it. Next year I'll plan it better, and all those good reasons for doing it, getting better at baking and sharing with your neighbors and having a chance to chat and having notes that you and being creative about how you wrap them up or whatever. Those good things are still available next time, So the bad feeling doesn't have to displace the potential good. You can just be, yeah, I know why. I understand why I made the decision. Would I have enjoyed if I had made them? Yeah. Do I have to anti-enjoy the fact that no, I don't have to do that either, you know. But kind of examining, because there's a moment, fork in the road, where on some level you decide there's really this thing that probably would have been really good in a lot of ways, but you, for whatever reason, we're not going to do it. Uh, it remains just as good as this possibility, or even maybe a likelihood next year, but it doesn't have to be displaced by. I would think that even if you did displace it with sort of the um, painful feelings, maybe it might make it harder to do next year because just the idea of it is a little colored by the negative feelings that you had about something that didn't happen
Right.
and didn't not happen. Like you know what I mean?
Well, I texted my friend who's Jewish, and I was
Uh-huh.
like, "Do you give gifts to the teachers? Like,
Hmm.
because that's the tradition that like the PTO does a
Right,
luncheon,
but
and
wondering if that has
especially
a
in elementary school, you have
spiritual
like
background.
a couple, few
Right,
teachers. In middle school, you have so many more teachers
right.
that I don't necessarily haven't necessarily bought for all the teachers. But like last year, especially, it was such a hard year. I was like, can we get gift cards?
You
Can we
wanted to,
get
yeah,
And this year, I was like, no, you know what? I'm going to get something at the end of the school year
yeah.
because they're going to get a lot of stuff. I
Hmm.
contributed to the PTO
Right.
luncheon, or whatever. Um, and and as a teacher myself, I didn't really need any. I don't need any more mugs
Right,
or chocolate or
right. Especially all at once.
all at once.
Like, these cookies are great, but really,
I don't know, vote to
yeah,
increase my salary.
right, right, yeah, exactly,